Welcome back to Business on City News 570, powered by Cowan Insurance. As God would have it, we are joined by one of our favorite people, Lianne Clarke. Now, she is, and this is a mouthful, and I got to do it slowly so I get it right. She's the Principal Vice President, Wellness and Disability, Innovation and Growth at Cowan Insurance Group. I'm Lianne. I'm just so thankful that
great.
I didn't screw that up. But you got a big job, and there's lots on the go here. And Gregory, one of the things we wanted to talk about, and we've done this with Lianne over the last couple of years from time to time, is mental health is such a huge issue, and we're now kind of seeing is there a I think what we're describing as an echo pandemic of mental health that comes out of COVID itself.
So, Lianne, I was really interested when we got this topic from you, because echo pandemic of mental health, like, what really are we talking about when you call it an echo pandemic of mental health?
Right. Thanks for having me back. And we started talking about the echo pandemic of mental health probably in January 2021. So these are really predictions that in the wake of COVID, there would be this surge of mental illness. And it's really due to the fact that Canadians and the world really has suffered this traumatic event. And so if you look back at prior synergies, so 2003, we had SARS. The 2008-2009 economic downturn. So we saw similar patterns there in terms of this surge or this increase about 1 to 2 years post-event in terms of mental illness. Disability industry saw increases in mental health claims. If you look back again in 2021, we started to see some preliminary data come in. Canadian healthcare surveys were going out, and already we saw that people were reporting 2 times the depressive symptoms and 4 times the anxiety symptoms. We saw CAMH, for example, the Canadian Association for Mental Health. Typically, they would see maybe 25 calls a day for mental crisis. It went up to 700 calls per day at that time. Wow. So people were really struggling. And so that was 2021. Fast forward to 2022, January and ongoing this past year, and we can see that the echo pandemic is in full force. So if you look at the disability industry, so Return to Health is our disability program, our block stats in 2021 for mental illness claims went up by 5%. So we were at 24% prior, up to 29%. So I checked in with some of the other really large insurance carriers. They all saw the same increase, 4 to 5%. Never heard of before. So I've been in this industry for 25 years. You might see 0.5% or 1% increase year over year, not 5% in 1 year. Even though, we started to see schools opening and softening of, the vax passport and the masks and businesses opening, we still continue to see this, this lagging increase in mental illness. Youth mental health. So our kids have suffered probably the most out of anyone. There was a recent report from one of the big insurers on drug claims, and utilization on mental illness drug claims for ages 14 to 29 was the highest increase of all age groups. You looked at some of the stats coming in, and youth were showing increased suicide ideation, increased cannabis use, increased episodic heavy drinking. So definitely really hitting that age group in particular. You look at September of 2022, just last year, the mental health index from TELUS came out. It still showed that 75% of respondents have a moderate to high increased risk of mental illness over all of this. Right now, while COVID is still an issue, we're finding inflation, right? So people are struggling with increased interest rates and financial risks. So this is kind of what the echo pandemic is, and seeing that surge and the increase in absenteeism. I have a lot of employers reaching out to me right now, asking for help in what do I do about all these absences and how do I support employees with mental health?
You know what? Maybe we'll have you back next week, because I don't want to give that short shrift. I mean, this is an important topic for employers and for people to be aware of, this echo pandemic. But just as important is what people can do and what can employers do to to make to assist employees and their workplace. So if you'll indulge us, come back next week and we'll dig into that question.
Sounds great.
All right, we've been joined by Lianne Clarke. She's a Principal Vice President for Wellness and Disability Innovation and Growth at Cowan Insurance Group.